walks a fine line.
He could hear it in the distance. What would smell like fetid roses or a rotten desert? But the sound had order and something he remembered. It had been years of drifting around the planets, with enough records to ignite a civilization anew.
He was sure that if he met others, he could convince them to look at the files, which were only readable at the cellular level, i.e. injected into the body via simple injection process.
If you're hearing this, understand that the extinction of humans on planet Earth was clearly a geological event. Indeed, a cosmic event. The records, the taken on the starships, were not visible to the naked eye, but rather readable at the cellular level. Usually these were implanted into the so-called chosen ones, so it would be easier to control humanity. But then that opportunity, sadly, was lost.
You think you can stop me? You don't know the half
Beautiful morning. Dare I say Shabbat Shalom, but I don't need a bullet in the head today. Yeah, because, we know the Jews are responsible for all the evil in the world. The Jews, the Jew, the THEJEWS, the Jews are responsible for all the bad things that happen in the world. Now, do you understand that?
Yeah.
The Jews run the media business and the entertainment companies. The Jews finance all the rocket ships. And the Jews run all the banks. The Jews run the medical industry and the drug industry. I can't think of one thing where the Jews are not killing humanity. And that's the argument. And of course, I sound absurd because I am being absurd. No, I know you're sitting there going, what? No, you haven't seen me, in the last week or so because I've been dealing with the biggest fucking dumbest fucking idiots of all time who used to be friends. And now are just basically the idiot brigade. Stupid people saying stupid things like what I just said. Sounded outrageous. The guy posted that very thing. He said, he offered some kind of academic proof or something. He goes, the Jews are responsible for all the slave trade in the world. And then I have people here calling me a Jew and attacking me for being Jewish and just like, once you have that label on you, you can never really redeem yourself. And it's absurd as saying the Catholics are evil. And the Catholics have had their hand in all the evil things that have gone on and all the wars and all the horrors of this world. The Catholics have been part of it. No, before you laugh, how many, 10, 20, 30 people blocked that hopefully I'll never see them again? People I thought were trustworthy. And this one guy was like he was involved in, as a stand-in type actor, stuntman, physical trainer or whatever, just sort of one of those guys that you see around. And he published the thing about the Jews being responsible for all, and I mean underscore the word ALL, capital A, all the slave trading in the world is the Jews. And I checked it. I said, he can't be serious. He can't really mean that. And yeah, it is true that in the entertainment industry and film industry, you have, a high percentage of different ethnic groups. So you've got Jewish in there, and you've also got Persians in there. You've got Iranians in there. So, we're ex-Iranians or expatriates. The point is, and everywhere I go, I hear the same stupid shit from, and it's all I can do because I can't, really just go up to a person and say, this is how fucking dumb you are and how you've completely fallen and you're a complete traitor to the human race. Everything you say about the Jews is true of you. And that's just going to be the way it is. And you're going to learn the hard way that your views are not just asinine and they make you look stupid, but they're evil. And if you don't learn that, you're just going to perish in the, nuclear war and nobody's going to give a shit. So keep breathing the air. What a waste of exhaling and inhaling. and make no contribution to anything. So I can just tell you this, that the Catholics, the Houthis, are not responsible for the whole slave trade of the world. The Hun is not responsible for all the wars in the world. Okay. I wish you would stop this, but we can't be friends. So if you're a friend and you hate the Jews, then you've got to defriend me immediately. Because you mean it on a deeper level. You mean it on a race. It means you're a racist. You mean it on a very deep racist level, like a genetic level, not taking into consideration that the real children of Abraham are the children of Jesus, are the ones who believe in Jesus, and they're actually in the second covenant, the real Jews, if you will. But you don't go that far. You're talking about ethnicity makes it the synagogue of Satan. And you're just such an asshole. I don't see how you could have a wife or children or friends or, go out and play around at golf on the weekend. I don't see how that could actually happen with that kind of attitude. And it's just hatred in your heart that, you try to say, well, what caused Trump derangement syndrome? Trump derangement syndrome is basically anti-Semitism. It's basically hatred of Jews because of the connection with Netanyahu, or the perceived connection. And, there's one person said, well, I'm not for Trump anymore because he contradicts himself. He's going to bomb, the bombing's over. He won the war, and then he didn't win the war. Then he's going to do this. He's going to end it. Then he's not going to end it. He's going to end it. Then he wants more troops. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. And the answer to that is he does know what he's doing. He's doing that on purpose. The first thing that goes in any military conflict is, the first rule of thumb is deception is good. So no leader is going to tell you what's going on or tell you the truth about war plans, or what's going on and where the state of victory is or is not. It's why there should be an aversion to war. But I'll get to that point. We can't avert war. War is a fact of life. It's a fact of every one of your lives. War is a fact of your life, and you couldn't stop it. And changing from Trump to, well, I don't know who you would vote for. I guess you'd vote for Kamala Harris, I suppose, or somebody, is not going to help you avert war. So, but, did it ever occur to you that there might be Jews or other groups like Catholics? That's another good, well, Catholic is of the devil. Did you know there's a lot of, peaceful Jews that aren't warmongers that are trying to work out a peace deal, try to have some semblance of peace in the Middle East, and understand there's even a spectrum of Jews that hate the Jewish state and want it disbanded because they feel it was unfair, the conquering of it. Just like you have Americans that have the same view. But I can't sit here and go through what being a decent human being is, since you don't know what a decent human being is. There's no point in you listening to these shit. What are you going to do? Go listen, make predictions to see if you're right? I told you that. What was that guy's name that they just fired? What was that guy's Hunt, or what was his name? Trish, the guy that they fired. The guy they just fired, that they had a big controversy.
Joe Kent?
Kent. This big controversy about Kent. He's a good guy. No, he's a bad guy. He's irrelevant. What are you focusing on that for? You're a racist. You're a racist. What you accuse others of being, you are. So focusing on Joe Kent's not going to get you out of your problem with yourself. Did it ever occur to you that there might be, or do you think the latest one I heard was the Jews pack all the meats, like McDonald's and everything, with human meat to make people eat humans? Okay, so you've heard that, and then you say all the Jews are doing this. Did it ever occur to you that there'd be, I can't really find anyone who's Jewish that thinks that way. So who are you talking about? All I know is if you're found to be Jewish now, they want to cut your throat. They want to kill you. So who's the hater here? When they throw the kid off campus, who's the hater then? Who's the racist? Because it is basically race. The people that are throwing the epithets around are basically hating Jews because of ethnicity, which is not supposed to be the way you measure. When Jesus said, these are people say they're Jews, but they're not, but the synagogue of Satan. I'm afraid the Nazis have run with that to the extreme, which is basically, born Jewish means that you're of the synagogue of Satan. That's what they've taken it to mean, and given them license to hunt Jews. I mean, it's incredible. And then they hang out on Substack, polluting all of Substack. Substack's now useless. So I'm looking for another platform as we speak, because all I've seen on Substack is just racist shit being thrown around. And and like I said, it'd be the same thing as if you said the Catholics or the Americans. There's another one I've heard, as if Americans are a genetic group. Yeah, the Americans are evil. The Americans never give up. It's just as bad as the positive. You lump them together. It's the same. So I'm white and I'm not racist. Do you believe the Americans are special? I do. Well, then you're basically, when you say Americans, you believe it's white people, right? So, how, since you give the enemy all this fodder, can you imagine yourself how you would be sliced and diced? Mommy would have to, your significant others would have to close the casket to bury you. If you walked into a courtroom and you tried to defend your views, you'd be laughed out on your ass. And not because people are prejudiced, but because you can't tie a knot with both hands. So, I'm sorry I cussed at the beginning. I've really got to curb that. I've got to curb that, and I will. So, people are responsible. Adults are responsible to clean up their act, And so far as I can see, adults are acting ugly as shit. And no, we're not seeking friends. And that's because of the fact that, basically, Trump had a friend. And Alex Jones was his friend. You know what I mean? He came to rely on Alex and was thankful for the job Alex did in rallying the troops to vote for him and get him elected. And he showed his gratitude. And then something happened. Someone got rejected. And they said, well, it's because he went to war. Well, if a president uses his presidential powers to go to war, then that gives you the right to then quit your loyalty. War is a fact of life. You've had a war in every president. You've had basically a war going on. I mean, I just point out all this stuff to show what a complete, you don't really have bragging rights. You're such a hypocrite that it'd be hard, I'd have to repent just to go into a cave for a while and beg the Lord to straighten me out. If I had that particular one, I try to see people as a spectrum. There's good people, bad people. There are bad Jews. There are bad Catholics. There are bad Republicans. There are bad Democrats. And there are good Democrats. There are good Republicans. There's good, there's good Jews, amazingly enough. And there's good, I'm sure Jehovah's Witnesses, even if someone's, how can they be good if they're so deluded they believe in the Catholic Church? That contradicts everything you said, Z. No, it just means they're under a delusion and, they're on a pathway of improving and having to learn as they go what's wrong with their positions, and they will all be pointed out to them. And it will be up to them, not you, but them, to make changes in their thinking. Because if they tried to be like you, they would be another failure like you are. And who wants that? What I want to see, and what pisses me off, is I want to see a lot more of the guys going to rescue the children. And that's a very noble thing, in my view. I remember Craig Sawman Sawyer, but I started hearing all these stories about all these rescuers of children that they're pedophiles. And, you can't trust anyone. It gets to the point where you got to stay indoors and never go out and talk to anyone because everybody is bad. Everyone's a hypocrite. Everyone is false. Everyone will stab you in the back. Everyone is disloyal. Everyone is evil. Everyone wants you dead. They do not want you to succeed. Nobody is cheering for you. You're isolated. You're your own island. And you will never touch another island. It won't happen again. So when you used to have a marriage and kids, and they've grown up out of that, you'll never have that again. You used to have friends you go out with on the weekend and do things. Those days are over. They don't want to be around you, and you don't want to be around them. You have no one and nothing. And that's the state that this has brought us into. The state of hatred has separated us all. So we don't have any friends at a time where we need desperately to have friends. We need to have friends and connections and people to give us strength, because when the enemy comes, you're going to need some allies. And are there those who think the enemy won't come? Me, I've always put it, they could come, but I'm hoping they don't. And as I read Trump's, raison d'etre, his heart, I want I want to see him succeed in his peace, a plan that's based on capitalism. Yes, I think that's better than the left of communism and all the rest of it. So I would, and he said, well, if Trump is so bad, who would I vote for? There's no one that I could vote for. No one. I would just become a non-citizen. Besides being disloyal, I might hang myself like Judas, being like a Judas Iscariot type of character, like in the case of the talk show hosts that abandoned Trump and have turned against him and said, well, when he does something good, I give him a nudge. It's like what, you run the presidency now by giving Trump nudges? Where did the hell did that come in? I mean, this is absurd. So I don't have much I can say, folks. I really, humanity is not worth I have no point of view anymore. I have no thought, Jesus has the ones that he chose. There's no danger of Jesus losing anyone. So therefore I have no worries, no problem with Jesus, no problem with the church. I've got no problem with anything. Everything is fine. I've really got nothing I can say except, I just feel like the Peter Green song, but don't ask me like what I think of you. I might not give you the answers that you want me to. Remember that one? Yeah, I might not give you the answer. When I talk to God, I hope he'd understand. And I'll stand by your right hand. But don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give you the answers that you want me to. You bet he won't. When I talk to God, he's always telling me, showing me the way I'm thinking is where it will lead. It's not leading to the right conclusion. And I have to constantly, daily readjust because it's never finished. I never know, the whole truth or take hold of it. And that's because no one does. We're in a process. I know people that flip-flop every day. They're for Trump, they're against him, they love Alex Jones, and they hate him. I'm just using him as an example, or Steve Bannon, or Roger Stone, or on the other side, they love Eric Swalwell. They treat him like a rock star. He can have all kinds of concubines and stuff, and people just cheer him on. Yeah, yay! So I've got really not much I can say right now because people have shut me up, or I have allowed people. I'll take it even on my own shoulders. I have allowed people to shut me up because I don't feel like they really deserve my time if they're not even going to try. If they're just going to sit there with their thoughts and their point of view on life and just, try to be around people that fit that point of view. And that's what creates groups of hatred and wars. So if that's what they want to do, I don't want to participate in more war or in hating Jews or Catholics or what else do they hate? Catholics is a big one. And we haven't ever gotten into that, but the whole Vatican, beast, Antichrist thing is, and its ties to the secret societies and the Rothschilds and all that. It's just huge conspiracy all over the internet. And, people, then there's the idea of clones and false flags and, fake people and fake events, that try to get everybody, to a consensus to vote on some stupid thing that if those people were halfway intelligent and not half-wits, they would realize I'm not even going to put my thought on this thing. They got stabbed and now everyone's saying it was a false flag. Is that something I should care about? I don't care. Sorry if that seems cold, but I don't care because I don't care to lend my consciousness to something like that because it destroys my life and I'm ineffective at helping anybody, including myself. So go have your thought about people getting stabbed or, blown up or remember we went through the train thing where a gal got stabbed and some other gal got caught on fire. All I heard around the internet was that it was nobody got stabbed, nobody got burned. And what's the funny thing about that? That filled up their heads. That's all they could talk about, just that. Like their head got just huge, like a big tick, like a big zit, because they no longer are talking about, for example, the Jews are doing this, with Netanyahu, and they fail to see the actual, military strategy that's going on along with the historical precedent and, historical writings. Instead of that, they just go ahead and look at the next poppy little headline. And the next thing you know, they're off on somebody's conspiracy about what's the latest one I've seen? Barron Trump is the Antichrist. Now, come on. We're going to play that game again. Name the Antichrist. And oh, by the way, he's a clone. And so is Trump a clone. They're all clones. And they're all false flag. We're just kept in this prison by the Illuminati in a holding cell, getting ready to be eaten. And that's basically what our existence is, while they confuse us with mindless articles about people being burned on trains so that we'll occupy our minds so we don't do anything about our situation. Well, if it's true, truth can sometimes hurt. You know, it hurts me when I hear the truth and God straightens me out and breaks me down a little bit and says, you know, this is to say all of Hollywood is this or all of Hollywood is that, you know, they're all evil pedophiles. If you're not an evil pedophile, you don't get in the club, so you don't get to make movies or anything else. You might as well give up. You might as well give up and stop trying to do anything, because they're never going to listen to you because you're not in the club and you're not going to, you know, bow down and join, you know, the blood drinking or whatever else. Plus, you know, those people that do that kind of cannibalism, they're not cannibals because they're not human. They're a different species. And it's like a copy of my film Society. It's a complete ripoff of the film narrative. They're a different species, and they have the capability of shunting someone, of absorbing their consciousness and taking over their bodies for themselves. You don't say. My goodness, you don't say. Well, we better go to Starbucks and give the man a lot of money and sit and talk about it. And maybe we should get into some prayer. Dear Jesus, please don't judge me for being such a moron. And I don't want to just yell at people and, you know, the foo shits, right? If the shoe fits, if the foo shits. You know what I'm saying? We all fall short in our thinking. Cabeza, operational, no? I mean, are you able to the other thing I've noticed is that people who run after heroes, and this is like millions of you, you know, running after, trying to build a consensus on, anyone trying to build a consensus on X is false to begin with. If for no other reason, they may be earnestly false. They might believe they're doing a good job. But the consensus, you know, i.e. money, matters more than human bodies with like and subscribe checks. So they don't care about those people. They just want the checks and the likes, i.e. the love of money is the root of all evil and deception. So all their predictions are usually wrong. Every once in a while they hit on one. So I predicted that a long time ago. When you were in diapers, I made that prediction that 9/11 was going to be targeted by planes. I didn't see it on The Simpsons. Now, that's not meant to be anybody special. Not the guy you think I'm talking about. I'm not talking about him anymore. He's just the wealthiest example, you know, of someone that's made a business out of fear. You know, under the guise of my only concern is to save the country. Meanwhile, if the president doesn't do what I want, then I'm going to turn against him. Don't expect me to be waiting around with loyalty. I'm If it goes against me, it goes directly against my income. So no. I predicted this a long time ago, and if it doesn't fit that prediction, then dude, you're out of here. And the story of journalism, since it's gone free, has fallen. I was just thinking about the journalism we got in the 60s and 70s. Damn, it was better than it is now. A lot better. I was just thinking of people like, the shows I like 60 Minutes, and I was thinking about, Morley Safer, and, guys like, who's the other guy that, Dan Rather, when he was kind of an asshole, but I mean, he'd be every night, he'd have his makeup and his tie just so, and, he would present, tonight, the president has been shot by one Jonathan Hinckley. And here's his psychiatrist says, Dr. Louis Jolyon West, that his client is unstable, but he still wants to vote for him being put in a long-term mental facility. And no matter how many times Louis Jolyon West shows up with Hinckley, it never gets talked about. Isn't that kind of strange? And, we talked with Mr. McVeigh's psychiatrist, one Louis Jolyon West, and he says that McVeigh may have been subject to his own being programmed by white supremacists and some breakaway cult in Arkansas. And so, for me, that was just much better news than what you get today. It's I remember I would hear Michael Yon, just throw another name out there, who seemed like he was very diligent, talking about the movements of troop movements and flying around the world, reporting on the war and getting his money from somebody, and then, talking about the Darien Gap and how they're all coming to get us and they'll be here and then they're going to overrun the United States. And that didn't happen. And, but it looked like it could happen, but it didn't happen. And then he moved on to something else and talked about Trump being the most evil. I remember when he was talking Trump up and then he was talking Trump down, saying he was the most evil, basically the king of the pedophiles. And so he's going on and on about being the king of the pedophiles. And, it was one reason that he wouldn't appear on the Alex Jones show, because Jones wasn't done with Trump yet when Yon was. And then 2 days ago, Michael Yon was on an InfoWars show, not Alex's show, but some other show on InfoWars. And I'm like, dang, does anybody else notice this? I mean, and if you don't buy my products, we're done. You've got no one to help you. Help? Has this all been help? Has the human race awakened and now is awake because of these talk show, millionaire talk show entrepreneurs? My only goal is to save America. And then we had the Candace Owen thing, which basically I landed on Erica Kirk, and I took a hold of it like a dog with a bone, because I could see right away what the whole deal was with Erica, the false marriage with Charlie, the whole thing. It was the same people doing the same show in front of the public as we had been fooled by and we'd been gaslit by. And people didn't get it. TPUSA just grew. Now even mainstream sources are now calling TPUSA corrupt, here and there, not loud, but I mean, it's being mentioned. Is there corruption? And I'm like, why couldn't you see it that? So if I say something, it might never come to the light of day if I say it on the podcast. Another reason for me not being able to podcast, because if I say it here, it doesn't matter. I could say the truth about what's going to happen and lay it out point by point. It could happen exactly as I say it, and it'll never get back to, not any of my words will be rebroadcast by anybody out there. Nobody will heed. If I get some sexy guests and some sexy products to sell and do some, make things more exciting for the purpose of like and subscribe, then maybe I could compete, but not until I sell out. Well, then what is that? What are you saying about all the talk show podcasters? That they're all sellouts? Well, what is it when they do that? Is that selling out? They're just selling products, Z. Well, I like to sell products too, and film convention, T-shirts and posters, and that's a good place to do it. And people want it. They want those things. But I haven't heard it be selling out. No, more like if you've got to strap the knee pads on for that. But anyway, that's a spiritual thing. That's about being willing to join, meaning willing to reject God and change God into fame for yourself, which basically, if that's the way you want to go, you better start when you're about, 5 or 6 years old. I never did have a taste for that. I was always about trying to figure this whole thing out, and I finally did. And you know that what I figured out doesn't deviate from the Bible much, and it just requires a little more imaginative thinking, and interpretation. Like save the oil. Make sure you've still got oil in those lamps, as it applies to the oil situation. You know what I mean? Using, stretching metaphors and similes. And then that becomes kind of an empty exercise. I get bored with that. So right now, I guess you could say I'm bored with the whole thing. I really am. My health is bad. So, got to make days so I enjoy them. And I really, have enjoyed old TV shows lately. I used to just be absorbed with some of these old shows. And in fact, what kind of got me looking at them is that I started looking at just The Man in the High Castle. Pre-COVID shows, and Netflix re-released The Man in the High Castle, which was a story by Philip K. Dick, who also is a producer, I believe, on the, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyway, it was about what if the Nazis in Japan had won World War II, what would America look like? And that it was all kind of a mind control illusion, because there was a guy, the Man in the High Castle, that was making films that showed the way life could be if people would just wake up, free of the hatred and the Jews ruined the entertainment business. Well, without the Jews, you wouldn't have an entertainment business. Ever think about it that way? I guess, no, we can't think that way. That's being too unracist. Sorry, we got to get maximum racism here. But anyway, I'm it's the time of year for seeing flowers bloom and seeing, dew on flowers, dew on the lawns. I I like hearing the creek go by or the ocean. Either one. I'm good with either one. And just the miracle that God has made here. I'm sorry about humanity, but God must. I can't turn on God because he did something I didn't like. That'd be like turning on Trump because he went to war with Iran. I'm not going to do that like the disloyal people. And how you did it, disloyal? He did this. Yeah. Rumor has alleged that he did this, or he didn't do that. He didn't do this, or whatever. And those rumors are guiding your life. Meanwhile, you're a traitor. Now what you're going to do to rectify that is up to you, not me. But how dare you think you're above reproach and think you can't be criticized? Of course you can be criticized. You show that, okay, if we wind up in war, it's going to be Trump's fault. In this case, it looks like Bibi Netanyahu, arm twisted him to get him in that war. It does look like that. Were you in on the meetings? Were you there? Are you there when they're, when decisions are being made? Because I don't know that firsthand. I only know from the lying media, so that's nothing. So where do I'm going to find out information like that? I'm not. But the Jew is at the bottom of all of it. And then the Catholics at the bottom of all of it. But anyway, it's, I don't see humanity succeeding at all with this level of hatred. And the Democrats have promised they're going to prosecute by throwing in jail people that were even barely connected to Trump, who voted for him and stuff. And they're going to throw, millions and millions of people in jail to get revenge. And of course, privately, I would say, I have my own opinion. It's called, the Democrats are launching their end of the Civil War if they win the midterms. Therefore, go ahead and arm up. Anybody? I don't see one person preparing. No one. Are you ready to shoot one of these people in the head? No. Well, then I guess they'll shoot you. Yeah, I guess so. Because that's what it's fixing to go to. Fixing. So I spent a lot of time in Texas now. I say fixing. Let me learn you something. I gotta let him pick that one up too. Yeah. Well, let me just put it this way. They're preparing to go to war, and if the courts won't do it, they're picking up arms. I mean, that's how far gone they are. The hatred is metastasized into murder. Murder. Don't you think it's weird that they cheer on all these illegals that are, raping and killing people in malls and innocent people, carjacking them and, putting a cap in their head and all that? Don't you think that's interesting how they back those people up? They don't put them in jail. They let them go. They give them money. They give them support. Don't you find that odd? That, you can't wait to go to the next Leonardo DiCaprio movie when he cheers on them killing you. Don't you find it odd to cheer on someone that's killing you? Isn't that strange, folks? They are. The Democrat actors, and they dare not be anything else, are aligned with the killing of anyone that sees it different. And they basically cheer it on. So if you're a criminal, and if you're a murderer especially, and a rapist, America is the Mecca for you, because you have an entire party of people who are completely 100% down with pedophilia, human trafficking, and who knows, adrenochrome, human dismemberment, the works. They're ready to go all the way. And to do that, they have to sacrifice you. And they're all about that. So they're saying, as soon as we get out of this prison we're in, as soon as we get some power, We're going to use that on you. We'll be killing you. What do you think of that? Go ahead. I don't think you will. I don't know, so I'm kind of done. There's really no more for me. There's no one to talk to. Now, I'd rather talk about, fashion. The fashion of people showing up for these events, like the film Melania, the fashionistas involved in attacking Melania. I think that's a very fertile area, because we already know that the people are racist, right? We already know that the people are filled with hatred, and that TDS is a progressive disease that's similar to schizophrenia, but it's really similar to paranoid psychosis, like from meth or something. And it's gotten worse and worse to now where there's threats of murder and devastation, and nobody does anything about it. They just, and when they are getting murdered on the street, I predict that the left cheers it on and says it's Trump's fault. None of this would be happening if they didn't back Trump. And you're nodding with me because you agree with me. But do you have anyone to talk to? Is there anyone you're informing? No, people are grabbing onto the stupidest theories possible, and that's what they're running with. And that's all programming and hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming and MK Ultra and the whole bit. That's using all their techniques to get you to believe. Who do you think releases stories like, about anything, especially about negative subjects like COVID and all that, being an evil vaccine that kills everyone it touches? And, I'm not saying it doesn't do a lot of killing. It does a lot, but not quite as much as they might exaggerate. But then again, when you add the cancer, turbo cancer to it, then I guess they do get their numbers up. They're a genocidal population. They want to commit genocide with the whole human race. And they're just waiting to get power, and no one's checking them. So I live in a country of traitors and disloyal people that just lie and cheat on their commitments with others, who aren't going to do a damn thing to protect themselves or their neighbors or their kids. I mean, if that's the world I live in, there's no point in talking anymore, other than to share company with you, which I greatly appreciate. But you see, the whole original purpose of this podcast was to inform people about what they're now informed about. And wouldn't you know it, when they got informed, they ruined it. They ruined their awakening. There is no more awakening. Opportunity for awakening has come and gone. So those people that would yell at me and call me a racist, bigot, and all that stuff, that would be great to send them to California and have them go after the Jews, who are all left-wing, not at the basis of being Jewish, but on the basis of being left-wing. The fact that they're left-wing. Oh, no, you're racist. You're calling Jews left-wing. I'm saying, no, it just so happens that most of them are left-wing, and they are planning on a genocidal plot. The population reduction of the world. But then again, there's also, mystics and Jews and, Catholics and Protestants and scientists and atheists that are all involved with it too. So therefore, no theory holds. All theories are bad and all theories fail. Chuck Norris dies at 86. Damn, I had some good times at Chuck Norris movies. I feel like watching one right now. Yeah, quality of life, man. Chuck was even training people in his 86th year. At his birthday, he was training. He was in some kind of, what was he in, a boxing match or something going on right up to the day of his death. And he's good. He had that roundhouse kick down, didn't he? Oh yeah. He was you know, the typical action hero movie, Charles Bronson, Chuck Norris, but then he married Christy Brinkley and they launched a supplement company. He has a ranch in Navasota, Texas, which is a really nice area to have a ranch. And he found water, and he drilled for water there and released the water for a while, but now I don't think you can find. Have you seen the Chuck Norris water? I haven't. I think it's gone away. But yeah, I may be commenting on wardrobe choices and hairdos, and you know, that may be it, or maybe even just commenting on the quality of seconds as they tick-tock by. Tick-tock, tick-tock, ticky-tocky, tick-tock, as you all wait to be killed in the killing floor waiting room, as you all wait for your for the executioner to come out and lop your head off, which you seem to want to get over with. Please don't hurt me. Oh, you won't feel a thing. And with that, I bid you shalom. No, I'm not changing my ways. It's blessing you with a peaceful word like shalom is a peaceful, Hebrew word, shalom. I don't see what's wrong with it. I didn't kill all these people on October 7th or 8th or whatever it was. I voted no against all that. I'm no for the United States fighting for Israel. I'm a hard no on any of that stuff. Do I get my way all the time? No. But I can't just line up with somebody and then when the going gets tough and things get real rough and rocky, I quit you. You're not doing it the way I want you to do it. The way that what I see. I laid out my plan. And if you were really a good guy, you would follow my plan. You'd follow my plan. Understand? And if you deviate from it, I'm going to quit and take all my listeners with me. Fortunately, I don't have that problem. I don't have something to hold on to. Therefore, I'm not being held. I'm not being held hostage. You know what I mean? I am relatively free. I'm not free of the biological clock, though, folks, but I'm relatively free in my mind. Things have been looking up, haven't they? Okay. Bye for now. Enjoy your world till I see you again.
Coming to you by and by. Come in the window, take what you have. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. They met in secret. They weighed in the balance everything you should know. So they saw you in the alley with all that firepower. You took him out with machine gun fire. You disrupted their meeting. You froze their bank accounts and kept it a secret. And now, after the sneak attack, you're declaring victory. Marxist death notice. Marxist death notice. Coming for you. Coming for you. Commie rat. Street sweepers. Anti-aircraft guns. Poison.